Hello, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the second session of our 4 practical steps to improve your writing workshop. Okay, so let me share my screen and please check if you have this set of materials. Okay, can everybody see my screen? If you can see my screen, give me an emoji thumbs up. Okay, so this is thank you. Thank you, Claire. We met each other today in class. Here we are again. Hi, students. Thank you for joining me. Very hardworking, okay? It's a Saturday evening and you're here with me trying to learn good techniques for composition writing. So I'm teacher Mavis, the head of English at Mind Stretcher, and I am here with you today. I was here before Chinese New Year. We had our first session where we looked at introductions. So today we are going to take a look at the second part of the story mountain. So after introduction, we have our rising action. So very often students, when I ask them, so what's in the rising action? They'll say, oh, there's a problem. Or they will call it a build-up. Then what are you actually building up? Do you know? Okay, so in the chat, right? Let's just get the chat going. What do you know about rising action? What is a rising action? What are you supposed to do when you are crafting or planning for your rising action? So if you say, oh, rising action is a build up what? Okay, build up what? So what do you write in your rising action? Okay, share it with me in chat. My colleague Sweaty, MS Support, has shared today's materials with you. So if you don't have it yet, you can download it. And if you have a printer, print it out. If not, it's okay. Have some foolscap paper or just blank paper with you. Okay, that'll be fine. Okay, so the responses are coming in. Wei Xuan says that rising action is the reason for the problem. Still a little abstract. Reason for the problem. So where is the problem going to go? Also in the rising action, okay, a build up to the climax. Yes, it comes before the climax, so it is a build up to the climax. To build up to the climax is where the problem is building up. So Safia says it's where the problem is building up. Inor says it's a start for the problem. Okay, so last week when we look at introduction, we said in the introduction, you set up certain things. That's the setup, right? You set up the context. You introduce your main characters. For some people, in the introduction, they already drop a hint of what the problem might be. So yes, in the rising action is where we reveal the problem. Okay, we reveal the problem and we show what our characters do to try to deal with the problem. So the introduction of the problem, their reaction to it, what are they doing to deal or cope with the problem? And then are there people who are around to help them or are they alone? Is it difficult to overcome the problem? If it is, why is it so difficult? So this is where you want to show your characters' struggles. Okay, there's some struggle, and if they just give up, just don't want to struggle anymore, I give up, then you can't really move on to the climax, or you just have to, like a deflated balloon, just goes wee and it goes to a conclusion. So usually for to see our character through a transformation, our character cannot give up. Our character has to try, and that's when we eventually then reach when we reach the climax, which we are going to look at next week. Okay, so where the theme at the climax, the theme could be more explicitly or more fully or more intensely expressed. But the rising action is super important because if you don't do a proper build up, when when the climax comes, your readers might not understand why the character is going through this in the climax if your build-up is not done properly. Okay, so in the build-up, not only is our character going through something really challenging, our readers, what's the effect of the rising action on our reader as they are reading. The introduction, they go, oh, okay, I know what this composition, what the setting is, what the context in. What is the rising action supposed to do for our readers? Any idea? How do you want your reader to feel? Or what do you want your reader to think while they are reading a rising action? Inno says, I want the reader to keep reading. Exactly. How to make someone or reader want to keep reading is when you're able to engage their emotions. You you make them care for the characters. There are many ways to hook the reader, right? So when they care for the characters because they're rooting for the character, they will keep reading, correct? But for them to root for the character, you need to really show how the character is feeling and how the character is struggling, and you need to make your character really relatable. So when your teachers tell you, write something believable, believable. If it's not believable, your readers can't connect with it. Okay? So we want our readers to be rooting for our characters. They want to know what will happen to the character if the character does not give up. Okay? Or if this carries on, is it going to be the outcome that I am guessing? So that's how we continue to sustain our readers' interest. Exactly, right? To connect with the character, for our readers to connect with the character. There are many techniques to do this. Okay, so today we are going to look at two things. The first one would be using dialogue meaningfully in the rising action, but also using dialogue meaningfully at any part of your composition. And the second thing is how we can create conflict. So just earlier on, just maybe a minute ago, I was talking about how you want your reader to be rooting for your character. You want your character to keep struggling and not give up. So we are building a conflict that's worth reading, a conflict that's not so easily solved, a conflict that requires effort. Okay, so we are going to look at building conflict in your story. Okay, so those are the two things we're talking about. I think more people have entered the workshop, so let's get started. Everybody has this, right? Okay, session 2, dialogue and drama made simple. So on this page, you will see uh, reminders. Last week we went through this already, right? So what are you supposed to do with 50 minutes? You spend 20 minutes on situational writing and then 50 minutes on your composition writing. Okay, so if you were not here last week, very quickly, let me just highlight some things to you. Before you write, and some students are very honest, they say, I don't plan. Okay, you don't plan. You have to plan. And they say, I plan in my head. And I say, how reliable is your planning in your head? Because once we start writing, we are in the moment, we might forget what we planned. Okay? So it's always good to have something to refer to. So put it on paper. Put it on paper. Jihan, I'll get back to you with your query later. We focus on session 2 first, okay? You just need session 2's notes today. Okay? You just plan it in your head. So that's risky in my opinion. It's risky because what if you get stuck or what if you get nervous during the paper? So if we have something written, we can get a visual reminder. Okay? And the thing is, some students say it takes time. It will take time now if you have never been doing it. It will take time now for you to write, but the more you do it, the faster it gets. So by the time it's your exams, prelims or mid-year prelims, PSLE, you are going to get faster and better at creating effective ideas. Same for oral exam. When you're planning your ideas for SBC, it's the same. The more you practice, the faster and better you get. Okay? Swetly, please put up the link for today's materials again. Thank you very much. Okay, so you can download, parents and students, you can download that. So for pre-writing, about 5 minutes. When you are given the topic and you are given the two guiding questions, which will help you steer you to make sure you're answering the question. And you have three pictures. Last week, I think we briefly discussed this. There are three pictures. Pick the one. You don't need to merge all of them. Pick the one that you are most familiar with. Your favorite, not your favorite. Sometimes we just love something and we don't know why. If we don't know why, there is no experience, no background, there is no story. So don't just pick your favorite. Pick something that you know would help you to create a really rich storyline. Because for the past 2 years, you have been practicing and it's something familiar to you. You're confident, you have all the vocabulary already related to this picture. Okay, so pick wisely. Do not link the pictures and plan your storyline. And why you plan last week. Today we're going to look at the story mountain again, so no issues. When we plan, we can check if we have gone way off or is our story lopsided. We can check visually. Okay, writing 40 minutes, check as you write. I know some students, they like to write very fast. After that, they say, I will check in the last 10 minutes, but they don't have the last 10 minutes. Or let's say they do have the last 10 minutes to check, they might miss things out. And when they start canceling, after writing everything, it gets messy. Am I right? So my advice to you is, as you are writing, check your grammar and your spelling as you are writing. Don't write so fast that you are spelling everything wrongly and you are just using commas and full stops very carelessly. Okay? Check as you write. And 5 minutes after that to just check that everything is in order. There shouldn't be any more plot change, etc. in the last 5 minutes. Okay, do you have to write? Our workshop, I don't require you to write a composition live now. No. I'm going to go through techniques and skills and things that you have to take note of when you're writing a composition, which is actually where a lot of students falter. Because when they don't get the planning right, then the composition is simply out of point. It's a pity. Okay? So don't worry, we don't have to write a composition. Okay, if you have not taken your dinner, it's okay. You can eat something in front of the screen. Okay, have paper, pencil with you, it's okay. All right? Let's take a look at this topic, something priceless. Oh, let me increase the size. Okay. Something priceless. So as part of exam preparation, every time your parents, let's say they printed a paper for you, or you are looking at an assessment book, or you are looking at my stretcher materials, and you're revising, and you look at three pictures and a theme. Don't just say, okay, let me start planning. I'm going to start writing a compo. Maximize this resource and ask yourself, if today I plan a composition and write a composition about something priceless, whatever I've planned or written could also be used, tweaked and used for very similar topics. So the first thing I want to ask everyone here to share with me in chat is when you see today's topic, something priceless, what are some similar composition topics that you think come up? Okay, or you would say, if I plan for something priceless and this other thing comes out, I can use very similar storylines and vocabulary, characters. Give me some ideas. And you in front of the screen, just jot these down. Okay, jot these down. A treasure. A treasure. What treasure? Is will your teacher end up reading stories about pirates? A treasure. What else? Something something valuable. Okay, something valuable, maybe. What else? Memorable outing. Oh, yes, that's possible. When I say something priceless, that means money can't buy it. So, and it's not necessarily expensive, right? So something precious, something valuable, precious, special. Let me see what else. Something that is free. I wouldn't say something that's free. In fact, I don't think there will be no composition topic called something that is free. Maybe another way of phrasing it. Oh, some people said friendship, something precious. Let me see. Okay, so some of you are moving into moments, right? So a memorable outing, spending time with your loved ones can be priceless, especially if you don't get to do it very often. Okay, so priceless outing. Let me see what else. Friendship. Yes, indeed. Friendship, a very precious and important friendship. Yes. A priceless pet. I wouldn't call it priceless pet. They won't set such a narrow topic. Not very likely, possible, but not very likely. They won't say a priceless pet, but they could say something priceless. And one of the pictures is maybe a dog or a cat. Then maybe you can write about a priceless pet. Okay? Something memorable related to the memory. Okay, priceless moments, unforgettable. Okay, an unforgettable experience, an unforgettable memory. Okay, yes. So all of you who have, let me see, let me scroll down a little bit in chat, piggy bank. Oh, some of you are looking at the piggy bank. Yes, friendship. Money. Money is really broad. So they would probably not write, set a question called money. Happiness. It could be a positive emotion. Yes. Okay, let me put it down. It could be a positive emotion. Yes. Okay, friendship, happiness. Yes. Family time. There won't be a question called family time, but something related to bonding. Yes, bonding with loved ones, etc. Okay? So all of you, your angle's right. When we see a keyword like priceless, precious, valuable, before I even look at the pictures, when someone says, this is so precious to me, or this is priceless to me, or this is so valuable to me, or I cherish this so much, what makes something like that? Are the qualities of such things? Like, why would someone call something priceless or valuable or that they will cherish it? It is something that is what? Cannot be bought with money. Okay, let me write down some keywords you're sharing with me. It could be rare. That means not everyone gets it. There's only one and it's with me. So rarity is one. Sentimental, very good. Okay. Items that are sentimental tend to be very precious, very good. Okay. Um, coming from a loved one, yes. Okay. Especially if you don't see this loved one often or you don't receive gifts from this loved one often. Okay. It can be unique. That means when you tell someone this is something I have, they go, wow, really? Okay, so no one has heard of it. It's very special, very unique. It can be linked to memories, it can be linked to nostalgia. Yes. A deep meaning. Okay. Yes. So for those of you who have responded, cannot be replaced. Very good. Okay, let me type this here. Cannot be replaced. Irreplaceable. Yes. Okay. Very good. Very meaningful. Secret. Is something priceless usually a secret? Not necessarily. There are many types of secrets or secretive items. But I think these that you have shared with me, students, you're on point. Okay, that's right. Something that's priceless have these qualities. Sometimes two or more of these qualities, sometimes just one. Uncommon, unique, yes. Okay, thank you for a fragment of your memory. A fragment. What kind of fragment? Okay. Fragment of your memory. It must have made such a huge impact on you. I'm going to add one more. It could be something that has a huge impact on you. Okay? It could be something that has a huge impact on you. So later on, when we take a look at the lines, I'm going to give you a nice list over here. There's more space here. So all of you, you're brainstorming, you get an idea. Yeah, so Claire is saying, like something from your father before he passed on, whether it's in a war or something, okay? So storylines like that, anything that these people, the deceased left behind is usually very precious, okay? So these are some ideas. Okay, so your brain is thinking of the right things. Okay, let's take a look at these two questions first before we look at the three pictures. What was priceless? They are telling you that in this, yes, students, this workshop, don't worry if you have something on, and at any point, if you really need to go, please don't worry, okay? It will be recorded. Okay, so you learn as much as you can while you're here. What was precious? So when we are thinking about something precious, it could be, must it be something like you can hold in your hand? Not necessarily. So it could be an object, of course, something tangible, right? Something tangible. Or it could also be an event or an experience. So this thing that is priceless doesn't have to be something you can hold in your hand. Doesn't have to be. Okay? If you say it was a priceless memory, the memory is a memory of an experience or the memory of receiving a particular gift from someone. Okay? Yeah. Why did someone think it was priceless? This is why I asked you just now, like, why is it so priceless? Okay? Why? What makes it priceless? And what's priceless to each person? It's not the same, right? To some people, the only priceless things are the things that are extremely expensive. For some people, it's that. For some people, the most priceless things are things that are gifted to them by close family members. Okay? Xuan, no worries. If you need to leave now, you can watch the video we upload on YouTube. We'll inform you, okay, when the link is ready. A priceless lesson. That's an interesting comment. Something priceless. And you want to talk about what? A lesson learned. Is it? It is not wrong. It can be risky. That's my immediate thought. Because when you write about a priceless lesson, then what is your composition going to be about? Okay, so think about it. Is it going to come somewhere only in the conclusion? Not sure. Okay. Yeah. So I would say if we think about something priceless, okay, and we are given three pictures, we go for the most, this is just being strategic in the exams, okay? If you're writing for the exams, to go for something that is very easily linked to something priceless. So when I see something priceless, a lesson learned is not the first thing that comes to my mind. All these other things that all of you mentioned will be the first things that come to my mind. Naturally, we link them up, we associate them. Okay? All right. So these are two things that we want to consider. Now, there are three pictures, but before that, let me very quickly um, consolidate what we have talked about earlier. Let me type this out. You can give me a moment. Okay. Oh no, priceless. The opposite. Priceless means no money. Sometimes money can't even buy it, right? So in Chinese, it's called 无价, right? 无价. 无价, does it mean 无价 is useless or not important? No, it just means that you can't put a price tag on it. It's too valuable. Money can't buy it, right? So make sure you understand what priceless is, okay? Something priceless cannot be replaced. Just now someone said that. Something priceless is very important. or extremely valuable. Some sort of antique passed down, or an heirloom, family heirloom passed down from generation to generation. So valuable. Okay, it deserves a place in a museum. Money can't buy it. Okay? Something that is priceless could also tell you or could also be associated with the process of getting it. So the process of getting it is challenging. It's not so easy. Okay, so there's great effort required. Great effort or sometimes sacrifice possible. Okay, great effort or sacrifice. If you know someone has put in great effort, sweat and tears and sacrificed the time and money to get you this thing, you'll be so touched, right? It's so precious to you because no one has ever done that for you. So it's priceless. Okay? So these are some things related to something priceless. So I'm going to stay here for another 30 seconds, okay, if you are jotting things down. Now, on the next page, there are lines provided for us to fill in some things for the guiding questions. So, on your own, for the next 30 seconds, what comes to mind when you think of something priceless? And now I want you to just be a bit more specific or some things that come to mind, like objects or experiences. Okay, not something so general. Some of you mentioned that a related topic is friendship. How is what makes a friendship priceless? Not all we are not best friends with everybody, right? So what makes your relationship with a best friend or with a particular person so precious? Why is the bond between two of you so special? Mm, okay. So let me start this off first, okay? Let me start this off first. Something priceless could be, some of you mentioned family or friends, right? Okay, let me type here so that it's oh, is a maybe this friend is the only person who cheers me up. So my friendship with her is so precious, okay? Without her, my life would be cheerless, for example. Okay. Something priceless could be a special bond. Now, this bond, some of you say friends, family, yes, a special bond between one person and another person. So they could be kin, okay? They could be friends. It could even be you and your mentor, or you or and a coach, okay? A teacher whom you look up to. This teacher-student relationship could be something that's priceless to you because the teacher has done something that no other person has done to inspire you. Okay, so kin, friends, etc., a special bond. Okay. Another thing that could be priceless would be something, it's a bond. A bond is a close relationship. Okay, a bond is a close relationship. So in let's say today's picture, there is a photograph of a pet dog. So you could have a special bond with your pet, right? You care for your pet reciprocates, loves hanging around, when hanging around you when you're doing your homework and all that. Okay, a special bond. Or it could be something tangible, like a favorite something, could be toy, book, object given by someone. So some of you gave me some storylines just now, right? Let's say a grandmother who has passed on gifted this to you when you were younger, and now that you look at it, you realize that this is actually the last gift that she had ever given you. So that's priceless, okay? So a favorite something given by someone very special or very important. Mm. Oops. Important. Your blanket, your cho is it? You're priceless. So if you have a cho, okay, or if you have a blanket that's really priceless to you, it is something priceless. And let's say today one of the photographs is a blanket. Wow, then it's really good for you. Unfortunately, today none of our photographs feature a blanket. But yes, our soft toys that we've had since we were young and so on, yeah, they can be very precious and priceless to us. Okay, so it could be a toy, it could be a blanket, it could be a book, a diary, a journal, something handmade, a card. My mom used to give me cards, birthday cards when I was young. Your parents, I'm sure they've received something like that before. I'm not sure if they still have that. You know, when you open certain cards and then music plays, you hear music because there's a battery operated device in there. So my mom, every year when I was young, kind of stopped when I became a teenager. But before I was a teenager, she write me birthday cards, right? Simple message, okay? And then there are all these fanciful fun cards I'll receive. So I really appreciate and treasure them. Okay, if your parents have given you jewelry like a bracelet, a necklace, and they say this is for you, you can pass it on to your children next time. So there's like an heirloom already. Okay, so endless possibilities. Why did someone think it was precious? Because it's given by someone important, and so on. Their love, exactly. Okay, so now let's take a look at the pictures. Can the pictures be linked in this? Possible. Picture one and three, it's possible to link them. Okay, so if you want to link picture one and three, say, oh, using money to buy a ticket or saving up to buy a ticket for someone. So the saving up process could have taken a long time. Okay, could be linked to picture three, possible. When you see a piggy bank and you think about something priceless, what are some associations? What are some things that come to your mind? Ah, yes, saving, saving money, saving money. And uh, Shubayu Banerjee added something else, which is important, saving money for a long time. So it is not like, oh, I'm very rich. I have a lot of money. Saving up is not a problem. So for a character like that, you don't really have that struggle, right? So saving money for a long time and then using that money not on yourself, but on someone else. Wow. Okay. So saving money for a long time is really tough. Okay. So that could be not to spend money. Yeah. Maybe the piggy bank is a priceless gift. Is that possible? Yes. Can you have a story where the piggy bank is the gift that's priceless? Yes. We didn't tell you what to do with the picture. So it could be the item or it could be the action of saving. Okay, so could this be used for saving money? Of course. Okay, piggy bank is for saving money. Saving money is tough. And what can its contents be used for to answer our question, to meet the for our combo to be relevant? What must it be used for later? Golden ticket, like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, is it? Okay, what can it be used for later? A gift for someone really important. For students who are in my class, this is not new to you, right? Every time we want to raise the stakes in a story, which then makes our readers really hooked, and we know the stakes are high for our characters as well. So when you are giving someone a gift, it shouldn't be it shouldn't be so simple that you can't write anything about it. And it shouldn't be for someone random. It must always be for someone really important. Okay? Could the money be used to buy a pet? Possible. Could the money be used for a vacation or an outing? That's a rare opportunity. Your family has never traveled before. You have never gone out of Singapore before, for example. Then saving up to go on this outing or vacation could be really rare. I'm putting some things in capital letters because these are really important, okay? What you pick for your characters to experience matters, okay? In helping you expand your story. Concert ticket with family, yes. Concert ticket. Not just for yourself to enjoy because it's a gift. And some students will say, teacher, so can I no, it doesn't have to be a gift. It's just something priceless, okay? So priceless for yourself, but joy is doubled when shared, okay? So concert ticket with your family, okay? So I can add tickets with family. Uh, really important and go somewhere that you can appreciate for what they have something memorable. Aunt V, a little convoluted. What are you trying to express? Is that one sentence? Okay, let me take a look at some of your ideas. To pay for mother's surgery. Okay. Support. To support someone ill. Okay. Or to donate to a group of people or for a particular cause. At the end of the day, the heart matters the most, right? So even if the amount is not a lot, like thousands and millions of dollars, but it is substantial for a young person like you. Mm? And therefore it is priceless. Help the poor, yes, to donate. Help, that possible, possible. A ticket could be a birthday gift. It is possible. So why are we going to watch a concert? Is it to celebrate something? If it is, you can include it in your story. Okay? Yes. You want to reciprocate. You want to, let me just write this. Ooh. Okay? You want to give someone something, you want to reciprocate the kindness they've shown you or the love they have showered upon you, or you want to show appreciation to a particular person. Yes. Okay? So it could be charitable or not. It's okay. I haven't seen anything that's too far-fetched. Okay? In what way would it be priceless though? Why priceless? Okay, let me type this up. Just now, actually we discussed this. If something is priceless, it took great pains. It took great pains to acquire, to get. Okay. Um, when you look back and you say, what did this process teach me? It could have also taught you some important lessons. So it's priceless because of the effort I've put in. It's priceless also because of the experience or the things I've learned from doing this. So it could be learning the value of, oops, learning the value of saving, okay? Saving or learning the value of giving. Okay, it could also be that, for the effort. And then letting this money go to someone other than yourself. It's really priceless, okay? Yes, exactly. The joy of helping the needy. Yes. Someone, yes. Okay. So that's picture one. Picture two, straight away, this family. Okay. This is a family. Where and when was this taken? You don't you if you've printed it, it'll be black and white, so you have the colored version here. Okay, so you see a lot of greenery in the background. Where and when was this taken? At so in a composition, if you want to feature a place, let's say you're going to watch a concert, at which stadium, at which concert hall, at which park, if this is a park, at which park, Pasir Ris Park, East Coast Park. So in your story, so in your story, just give a specific name. Don't just say at the park. It's the same when you're writing about your best friend. Please do not write my best friend, my best friend, my best friend from introduction to conclusion. I still don't know what's the name of your best friend. Okay, or the bully, the bully. I don't know what's the name of the bully. So make sure you name these key places, key characters. Okay. If at any point you need to step away to grab a drink, no problem. Because as I am typing, I'm also just sharing with you verbally. So you are not writing furiously constantly, right? Okay, so if you need to take a quick break, please go ahead. Okay, just go ahead and take the break you need. Okay, at what park? So for example, Pasir Ris Park, East Coast Park. Okay, outdoors. Who possesses this photograph now? So let's say you say, oh, this is a photograph. This is an outing. This could be an outing. This could be a photograph. Who has this? Who remembers this moment? That is our main character. Who remembers this moment? This priceless moment. You, Ryan. One of the people in this photo, and and teachers will always recommend that you do this, right? That you write from the perspective of someone your age. Okay? So there is no need for you to pretend to be an old man or to pretend to be a I can't write a story about a baby. So don't need to pretend. Just be a young person like you are. Okay? So who possesses this picture now? The main character. It could be the narrator. If you're writing from first person's point of view, later on we'll talk about perspective, okay? If you're writing from first person's point of view, the narrator, main character, who? So who? Okay? The daughter, son, okay, one of them. What could make this priceless? If you are writing about a photograph, that means something that's tangible. You can hold it, you can frame it up. If you're writing about a photograph, then that's the item that's priceless. But let's say today you're not writing about the photograph, you're writing about the experience. Okay? Priceless time spent with family. Rare opportunity because maybe the parents are always busy. Okay, they work very long hours. Yes, exactly. Okay. For this one, what could the photo symbolize that makes it precious? Okay, so uh let me share with you a few things. So here we talk about family time already. Could the photograph feature someone that is, oops, someone is away or not around anymore? Okay, possible. Um, could it feature perhaps, could it represent a time when the family was really close and bonded? Maybe at the time when the story is told, they are no longer like that. Or in the past, the family used to fight a lot. Okay, they didn't have a good relationship. And finally, one day, because of a particular outing, things changed and they became close. That's also possible. Okay. Or from not being close to being close knitted, right? That could be a mending or transformation of relationship. Okay, it is possible. So sometimes when children become more polite to their parents or parents become more understanding, then the relationship quality changes, right? Or maybe this photograph was taken just before something, a huge change happened in the family. Okay? So that could be the photo. And of course, there could be a super fun and memorable experience that your family has not experienced for maybe a year or 2 years. Okay? Doesn't have to be a sad story. Doesn't have to be a sad story, but we can introduce some conflict. Okay, we'll talk about that later. Okay. The last one, some student, third question. Oh, third question. That you go for an outing with a loved one who passed on. Yeah, someone who is perhaps not around anymore or has gone far away to work. Okay, that's possible. A lot of our migrant workers, a lot of our migrant workers in Singapore, their families are back in their home country, right? They have children, family members in their home country waiting for them, but they're here to make a living. So it is possible that family members travel far, far away to make money to support their family in their home countries. Okay? So to take a photograph with someone who is not with you currently is possible. Okay? What kind of ticket could this be? Could this be? So it just says admit one. So we don't want to tell you what kind of ticket it is. We want to give you the freedom of uh, imagining. Okay, so if you can be specific, say Taylor Swift concert. Okay, yeah, Blackpink concert. Yes, possible. Okay, so be specific if you are talking about a particular ticket. Okay, concert. So it could be a concert. World Cup. Wow. Awesome. So yes, it could be since somebody said World Cup, I'm going to get World Cup. Okay? World Cup ticket. Okay. World Cup is super. Firstly, it doesn't happen every year. Secondly, not everyone gets to watch the World Cup live. So this is really rare. Okay, I'm just labeled World Cup. Wow, must travel, you need air ticket plus the World Cup ticket. Okay. Yes. It could be a concert. Yes. But concert, not of just anybody. Concert, your favorite band or singer, right? So not just a random one. You have been looking forward to this. The favorite band or singer only comes to Singapore. The last time they came was 10 years ago when you were just a child, very young child. Okay, a toddler. So yeah, it could be that. Um, okay, a rare appearance, they haven't visited your country before. Yes. What else? Train ticket from the past. Train ticket from the past. That's very interesting. So it's going to be a flashback sort of story. Okay, so we have sports events. So I'm just going to put sport, uh, s- sports. Okay, World Cup's under sports. This one would be under performances. Performances. Okay, let me just shift this up so that I have a bit more space. Okay, performances. What else? Musical. That would go under performances, like musicals, plays. Hmm. A cruise ticket. Interesting. Oh, so some people say it could be some sort of traveling ticket. It could be a train ticket. It could be a cruise ticket. Yes, that's possible. Okay. An air ticket. I don't think anyone is going to fault you if you use an air ticket. But air ticket's a bit weird, I would say strange. Admit one. So usually a ticket like that is for a movie, a show, okay, performances, shows, okay, carnival, a carnival ticket. Say, "Huh, carnival? Can carnival be priceless? It's not cheap. It's not cheap to go on a carnival ride. You ask your parents if they have been paying for all your carnival rides. It's not cheap at all. Okay? So amusement park, carnival, if you're talking about places like Resorts World, right? And we're talking about Universal Studios, it's not cheap, right? So you have to save up. Okay, carnival, amusement park tickets, yes. Wow, Les Miserables, you're going to watch it, is it? Arcade maybe. Okay, so all these require money. All these require money. Who would want something like that? Our main character, of course. But there are some questions for you to ask, to answer. Of course, it's our main character because the story revolves around this person. What and why does he or she desire? So if I say, why is it priceless? Because I really, really want this. If your family is very wealthy and you travel every few months or every year, even every year is a splurge, right? Then it's very different. You say, oh, is it a great desire? Well, it's nice to travel, but it's fine. I'm if it's just part of my family's practice, we just travel. Okay, but if you have never traveled, then you might have a great desire to do so. Okay, why? What does he or she desire? Why? And this is and another question you want to ask is what must he or she do to get it? And I'm going to put the do in capital letters because it's going to involve actions, challenges, for sure. It shouldn't be easy, right? Actions, challenges. Other things you want to think about for your main character is so, in summary, what's your character's goal? Will your character have certain weaknesses that make it difficult to achieve this goal? Okay. What's your character's journey? Lots of ups and downs? Or is it steady? Difficult but steady. Okay, a journey like that. And then what does your character get out of this? What's the outcome? Okay. Once you have a storyline, you'll be able to fill in the last blank. Midway could be priceless. So I finally gets to. I'm going to give you some sentence stems. Oops. Mm, cool. Okay. So your character finally got to see the idol perform, watch a match, okay? Or even having a ticket to watch someone important to you compete in a match. It's also priceless. You know, when let's say you are a performer at a concert, how many tickets do you usually get? Okay, if all the performers are given one ticket each, and then the organizer wants to sell more tickets, the organizer can't give you 10 tickets to give out unless no one wants to come to watch the performance, right? So every ticket is precious. And usually, if they give it if they give each performer one ticket, then whom are you going to invite, right? So that makes it very precious. Okay, I finally got to do something, and then your dream is fulfilled. That's why it's so priceless. Okay, your dream is fulfilled. Finally get to start a new life, but it must be related to admit one ticket. Okay, this workshop will end at 9:30. 9:30. If you need a short break, you can go and take a water break, no problem. Okay, I'm going to stay here on this screen for about 30 seconds, okay, before I talk to you about the outline and the techniques. Please have a drink with you. You can have a snack with you. That's fine. Okay. Some students are sharing with me certain ideas, right, in the chat. And some ideas, they can be potentially really touching stories. So let's say you want to talk about immigrants, but and it has the potential to be a really touching story. The next question you want to ask yourself is the same, right? When you look at the pictures, which one to pick? Make sure that the main character you are going to develop is someone whom you're very familiar with. In fact, you have been in this person's shoes and you know exactly what it is like to go through what he or she goes through. Okay? Just today I was telling a student, right? So she talked about bullfighting. And then there was a story plot line where there was a bull, and then when the bull, it was in a farm, and when the bull saw a red cloth, the bull charged at the person who was a guide holding the cloth. So now this is the break, this is the break because I am talking about something. There's a learning point. You can be around to hear it, but I'm not moving on to the next section yet. Okay, give me about 2 minutes. So if you need a water break, you can go now. So as I was saying today, I was talking to a student. So the conversation was about bull in a farm, seeing a red flag carried by a tour guide, and then charged at the tour guide in a farm. Why am I sharing this with you is because in that student's composition, I realized that the student does not really know or is not actually familiar with the idea of bullfighting. So most parts were very illogical. And I asked her, so how do you know that the bulls, when they see red, right, they would charge? She said she saw it maybe on TV. But actually, so I told her, actually, why do bulls go berserk in the ring is because very often they had been starved, they were not given food for a long time, they had been starved, and they have been kept in this very dark room. There's no light, right? There's no light, they're hungry. So the moment the bullfighting begins, the door opens and it's bright light. There are lots of cheering right in the stadium. And the bull is hungry and the bull is disoriented. So the bull charges out and it's going to charge at the first moving thing it sees. So yes, exactly. The color doesn't matter. It's not even the red cloth. The red cloth is just for performance sake. So yes, bullfighting involves animal cruelty. Okay? Not because it just looks at red and gets angry, okay? So no. So my student was like, huh? I'm like, yeah. So actually, because you didn't know what bullfighting really is, now when I read your composition, I actually see that it's not logical. Because a bull in a farm, well fed, has a nice barn to live in, it's a happy, happy bull. It will not just charge at things. Understand? So write about things that you are familiar with in an exam, especially. Okay? Yes. They're agitated by anything that's moving or the shouting. Can you imagine not eating and being kept in a pitch dark room for hours? Okay? So you'll be disoriented. All right. Let's look at the story mountain. Last week, I told you let's plan from the middle part, right? Because that's where the bulk of the story is going to be at. So climax for a story like something priceless. What's going to happen at the climax? Tell me, what's going to happen at the climax for a story about something priceless? You can tell me in chat. Inner conflict. Is the inner conflict in the climax? something priceless. I shared last week. So if last week you were not here, it's okay. Something priceless. So we always want to make sure that our theme is more the keyword in the theme is most explicitly and intensely developed in the climax. So if it's something priceless, and you think of all the storylines you have created, okay, like watching a soccer match, getting a ticket to watch a soccer match, saving up, what would be things that could happen in the climax? So let's say the priceless, something priceless is the concert ticket. Then in the climax, they are watching the concert. That's the most exciting part, okay? So enjoying enjoying the priceless gift could be something in the climax. The process of enjoyment, intense happiness, the intense surprise, the intense gratitude in the climax, priceless. Okay? Let's say you're talking about saving up. Then in the climax is where you've saved up in the rising action, and then at the climax you go, this is your gift. And when your friend saw it, your friend burst into tears. Yes, that's the climax. The most intense emotions. The most intense emotions. So it could even be a mix. It could even be a mix. So of course we have happiness, of course we have gratitude, okay, tears of joy, etc. So you do a lot of show not tell of your characters here. Ah, very good. Ah, Ginny, I will address this later, okay? I'll address this later when we talk about perspective. Tears welling up in your eyes. Yes, yes, yes. Enjoying the priceless gift. It could begin with gifting, then enjoying the priceless gift, okay? So the start of your climax could be the gesture of gifting. The gesture of gifting could be it. Okay. Of course, loving it, gratitude, happiness, excitement. Yes, yes, all these strong emotions. Okay. Then today we are talking about rising action, and all of you mentioned things that should be happening in the rising action. So in the rising action, we are going to look at what's going to be in the rising action. Just now we said build up. Build up what? The struggle, the difficulty, okay? How was this thing gained? How was this priceless thing gained? Is it through hard work, sacrifice? What was difficult about it? It's in the rising action, okay? So mainly we want to see the effort or the sacrifices or the struggle our character took to get or gain the gift. Not gift, the thing. Okay, it could be a gift, it could not be a gift. Okay. Then if we work backwards, so climax, we look at climax first, rising action. Okay, for us to talk about the difficulty or the priceless thing being gained, what must we write in the intro then? We certainly cannot begin with the alarm clock ringing, am I right? Or the sun rising, am I right? So what should we write in the introduction? What must we have in the introduction so that we can move on to the rising action smoothly? Flashback. What flashback? Flashback is a technique. Flashback is a technique, okay? But if now I want to just plot the storyline in chronological order, if you want to use flashback technique, you must still plan your story mountain in a chronological order. Then flashback just means that you're going to put something that happens later on in the story in front. That's all. Okay? So don't say flashback introduction. No, introduction is not flashback. Introduction is introduction. What happened before this? Choosing the gift. Bored. Thinking of what gift to gift. Oh. Thinking. A lot of you are talking about thinking. Okay, for this composition, something priceless, we want to introduce our main characters. We want to introduce what do they want, what's their goal. But does not have. What does he or she want but does not have? Correct? It's a goal. Okay? You also want to provide some information about setting, where, and this where is not just, oh, I'm at home, okay? Where the key moments in the story going to take place. So let's say you prepared something priceless at home and then you gift it to this person at this person's house. There are only two locations and that's it. Maximum two locations. Okay? Okay? Two locations, not more. So if you want to talk about saving up, the opening paragraph should already involve the piggy bank. Your readers already see the piggy bank. But why are you looking at the piggy bank? Why is our main character staring at the piggy bank, frowning? What is going through our character's mind? Then, after we have created the character and the goal, then we move very smoothly into trying to achieve the goal. Okay? Yeah, thinking what to achieve. Why do I want this? Why is it important? Or realizing that someone's birthday is coming up. Or your family telling you, or your parents telling you that they are going to go on leave for 2 days on a particular week. What a rare opportunity, right? So this is when you get the first piece of information about what there is to look forward to. Okay? Now, once you have done climax, rising action, beginning this way, then falling action is pretty straightforward, right? Once you've enjoyed the gift, happiness, gratitude, excitement, in the falling action, in the falling action here, you can start to tie up loose ends. Like, how did the event end? How did it end? If it's an event or an occasion or an outing, how did it end? And also around this point, you start to see that, hey, it looks like we are moving into reflection. You're right, okay? So what did they think about the experience? Then it will very naturally move into reflection. But reflection about the priceless thing, whatever it is in your composition. Okay, so we are tying up any loose ends. Then in the end, how teacher after reflection, that's the end already, right? No. In the conclusion, when we have a topic like something valuable, something priceless, friendship, one thing you can do in the conclusion is to ask yourself, what are your thoughts about this topic? Like something priceless, what makes something truly priceless after this whole composition, right? What makes something truly priceless? After your character has gone through all this, what makes something truly priceless? This is a different reflection from this. This reflection could be that you realize that there is someone in your life who's willing to make sacrifices for you, okay, in order to just put a smile on your face. That could be a reflection about the priceless thing. But in the conclusion, expand that thinking into something broader, like truly make something priceless now that you reflect? Okay? Is it something that's important to you? Is it important for you to take certain actions um, when it comes to gifting or when it comes to spending time with your loved ones? Okay? What makes something truly priceless? What do you what do you hope for in future? Okay? What do you hope for in future? So you say, oh, I want more priceless things in future. No. So in future, when you are thinking about the value of something, are you going to rethink what makes something priceless? Maybe in the past, you thought that something priceless has to be expensive, but then you realize perhaps it doesn't have to be. And that you'll pay attention to the small, seemingly ordinary moments in life and be grateful for them. Okay? Can it be why you suffered to acquire that? Why you suffered? You suffer. You would say made a sacrifice. Yeah, you can say that it was worth it. Seeing the face, but that would come around falling action. Seeing the smile on my friend's face was absolutely priceless, and I would do it in a heartbeat. Again, okay, if you would ask me again, I would do it in a heartbeat. Okay, I wouldn't hesitate. Something priceless could mean love. Yeah, so go back to the topic and close your composition by reflecting. Okay? Um, okay. Let me pause here for a moment. We pause here for a moment. Okay. Okay. Some people are asking, so just now who was the student who asked? So to the main character, is the main character the one receiving the present or the item or the priceless thing? Okay, so we are looking at narrative point of view. You already know there is first or third person, correct? So yes, for this composition, if you're writing from the third person, if you're writing from a third person's point of view, no problem. Okay, so this is option A. Third person's point of view, you can create the setup. You can talk about how the gifter behind the scenes worked really, really hard. And then you can talk about what the receiver was or the recipient was looking forward to. And you can talk about their thoughts, their motivations, their interaction. So I think third person for this composition is not actually not a bad choice. It's too bad. Okay. Now, if let's say you want to write from the first person's point of view, then the next question is this. I'm going to just ask all of you, right? Would you prefer to write from the perspective of the gifter or the giver? Or would you prefer to write from the perspective of the recipient? Or maybe there is no giver or recipient in your story. It's just one person who worked, who did something and then gained something priceless. Oh, gifter, giver. Okay. There is no right answer for this. It depends. Because when we say something priceless, we didn't say a gift. It doesn't have to be a gift, but it is indeed priceless. It could be handed down like an heirloom, being passed down from great grandfather to grandfather to parents to you. So it is not a present. It is it can be a gift from the previous generations, but it was something handed down. Okay. So it's something priceless like that. So you are the recipient. Either way, it works. Okay. So you can write from the giver, first person. It can be the giver or the recipient. Okay. Either person, there must be the strong show and tell so that we know what's going through that person's mind and the emotions the person experienced. Okay. When the plot, somebody is asking, let me take a look. Okay, someone is asking, what if I start the story very sad? Is that your question, Anvi? What if I start? Well, there's no right way to start there is no right emotion to start a story. The only thing we don't want is no emotion. No emotion is no good. Okay? No emotion is no good. As long as you have a strong emotion, it's good. Strong sadness, strong regret, strong excitement, thrill, happiness, disappointment. As long as it matters, it's fine. Okay? My family heirloom is a fried chicken shop. Really? Wow. Then you're going to be boss man very soon, right? Ryan. When the plot is a bit complicated, I will use third person just to be clear. When the plot is a bit complicated, I believe when you say complicated, do you just mean that there are maybe two or three main characters or important characters? So you realize that it's easier for you to shift, maybe. Okay. Which one would you recommend for those who are weaker? First or third? After marking so many compositions, I realized that for students who tend to make mistakes in perspective shifting, that the first person is less risky. That's my experience. You can feel free to disagree. But from my experience, the first person, it reduces the risk of suddenly changing perspective. Why? Because firstly, if you're the first person, you are speaking as I. You may give yourself a name or not, but I know you as the narrator. And then if there's another main character, I just have to give that main character a name. So it's just I and John, for example, instead of Jane and John. So Jane and John, what happens is for some students, when they write third person, Jane becomes John, John becomes Jane, and then after that, there is no more Jane. There is some other female character. Then it gets really confusing. So I would say writing from I it reduces the risk of you becoming someone else. Okay, I'm not saying there's 0%. We all have to be careful when we write. Okay, how do you show strong sadness? I love that you use the word show, Anvi. Yes, you must show it. So don't say the character was very sad. Talk about the tears. Talk about the red, bloodshot eyes and the swollen eyelids, the swollen eyes. Yeah, sadness. Okay, or a notebook that's covered in spots of what? Because tears have fallen on the notebook and now there are like spots on the page. Okay, sure. What if you treasure the item because someone who already died gave it to you? Yeah, it's possible. Someone who is deceased gave it to you before they did. Okay. What if the person is sad is you? If the person who is sad is you, it's even better. You can go into your thoughts, your bodily sensations. Okay. You having no appetite, for example. Yeah. Can we not have only one main character but have like two, like twins? Uh, you can, but you just make sure that their names are quite different, their genders are quite different, so that you don't end up mixing up pronouns and name spellings. Okay? Because I've seen student third person, the characters keep switching and then I get very confused. Yeah, so no alien, okay, Claire. Okay. So some people are asking what time are we anyway? Anyway, at 9:30. So we have about an hour and 15 minutes or 12 minutes left. Okay? And we are going to focus on these two techniques. So let's say today, something priceless. And we want to talk about a compelling rising action. Okay, so a rising action, like I said, if you don't build it properly, the climax won't make sense. Your readers will wonder, huh? Like that? This thing has happened just like that? Okay? They'll be shocked to be like, what? So what happened before this? So we need a build-up that matters, that matters. And very often, I also hear this, some teachers will be like, you have to introduce a problem. I don't think you have to introduce a problem for every composition, but most stories do have a conflict or problem. And usually this is the thing that makes our characters transform or grow. Okay, I won't say 100% every story needs to have like a problem. Some descriptive stories are just descriptive. Okay, but you're writing a narrative, so Very often, yes, you have a problem. Okay? Now, what kind of problems can your character have? So there are these kind of problems. Maybe you know already. Maybe you have not tried one of these. So I'm going to explore them with you, okay? In the rising action, there's a problem or a complication. And it must involve the main character. The main character cannot be a plain observer, okay, like a spectator. There are two people fighting, I'm just watching. No, the complication must involve our main character, okay? So that's the first thing. And that this problem is going to trigger a chain of events. That's why it's called the rising action, complication that builds up. And some students say, so what kind of problem can I create? Okay, there are many kinds of problems, but problems must be problems because they do a few things. Firstly, they must prevent the main character from getting what they want. I want to win a competition, but I don't have the skills. Problem. Correct. Okay, my lack of skills is preventing me from getting what I want. Or it involves the main character in a struggle against an opposing force. So it can be internal or external, this opposing force. It could be a weakness, like I'm very shy, and then my teacher wants me to do public speaking. So now I have a problem, correct? Okay, so that's internal. Or it could be my arch nemesis is my opponent, and I want to win. So then that opposing force is external. The person is there, standing right in front of you. Okay? So when we talk about conflict, there are all these views. So take a look. Take a look at them. Huh? Conflict can happen between characters. Okay, so you against me. So stories about fighting, okay, fighting a brawl, an argument, betrayal, friendship. Yeah, this is you against someone. And very often, this is what we see students write about. Okay, you have two main characters, a villain and a hero. They have a conflict. And you see this in movies a lot as well. So this is not alien to you. This other thing is very common in compositions like determination, overcoming something difficult, trying something new. Okay? This is very common. So this usually involves a personal weakness or an inner demon. Inner demon, something, there's a voice inside that tells you to do bad things. Okay, or that you are lousy. It's an inner demon. Mm, okay. So this usually could be a moral dilemma because some of you like to use the angel and devil imagery in your composition. Yeah. We are not writing a composition today's session. You can go and write a composition based on what we have discussed today. No problem. Okay. Can it be that you're conflicted between two choices? Can. Can. Why would you be conflicted between two choices? It's because there are things that are important to you, but they don't match. So that's actually a dilemma. Okay? Let me highlight moral dilemma. Now, this one, main character against nature would feature in compositions that are related to an excursion, okay, thunderstorm, or someone tripped over a branch and fell down the hill. So, character against nature, very often it involves stories related to exploration or nature. Okay? The setting is very important for such conflicts. Because if your character is not in the forest, your character is very safe at home on his couch, right? But the fact that we have the setting, the story is set in the forest. Now there are lots of dangers. So the character against nature has to fight to survive. Okay? How can this be linked to something priceless? No, no, no. This section is not linked to something priceless. This section is linked to the is linked to rising action for any composition. Okay? This section is linked to rising action for any composition. Okay? Yes. Okay? The one we looked at just now was like something for us to consider because we want to take you through planning, the planning process, story mountain, and the things you should consider. So we look at a real question. But now these are things that you can apply to any topic. Main character against fate or circumstances. Oh, what's fate and circumstances? Okay, let me draw a separate box here because I need some space. Okay. For example, you see, some people are born into a poor family. That is their fate and circumstance when they were born. Okay? So things like family background. Your character couldn't choose it. Family background. So when you watch movies or when you read stories, ask yourself, is this main character fighting against? Sometimes it's family background. Sometimes it is people in school, like bullies, right? How would you know there is this bully in this school? You wouldn't know. You are thrown into this situation, correct? Okay? Or something unforeseen, like a sudden incident. Something just happened to you. Let's say there are two characters playing, catching, and then they bump into you, you roll down the stairs. Like, oh my God. Okay? It just happened. So something unforeseen. It's also possible. Okay? Society. You see this a lot in stories, storybooks. Um, oops. Okay. Some people try to fit in society, but it's very hard for them because they have certain needs and talents that don't necessarily fit. Okay? So, social expectations. Everyone expects you to score full marks. It's a struggle. It can be very stressful, correct? Okay. So this could be social expectations, or they expect you to be good at something, but actually you're not. Okay? It could be discrimination. So in real life, in books, where we talk about racism and so on, discrimination, yes, or some sort of social injustice. So at your level, I would say that most of you are looking at point, let me draw the bullet point, let me circle the bullet point. Most of your narratives at your level would be this, oh, this, and maybe this. Nature, perhaps depending on the setting, but not so much. So, against society, not so much at your age. At your age, not so much. Usually it would be internal and with someone. Okay? Internal or with someone. Yeah. So nature could be, you remember there are stories about, let's say, parent your mom to bring an umbrella. Okay, it's going to rain. And then you say, no, I don't need to bring an umbrella. And you go out and get caught in a storm. And as a result, you're late for school or an important exam. Ah, that's you against nature. It's also something internal. You were rebellious. You were not obedient. Okay? So it is possible for there to be an over hybrid. That's possible as well. Okay? But just be aware that it's not always just one kind. Any sort of harassment, yes, that would be society. Yes. Injustice, yes. Okay? Anything related to law and order. Hmm. But at your level, usually it's a lot of between characters and internal. Yeah. Can it be you that you're pressurized to do something you don't want to do? Yes, that's related to moral dilemma. Why would you allow yourself to be pressurized into doing something you don't want to do? Like your friend asks you to cheat in the exam, and then you go, should I cheat? Then that's a moral dilemma, right? Hmm? Okay. Okay, so let's take a look at some really good conflicts, really good model paragraph conflicts. What is a moral dilemma? A dilemma is when you don't know which to choose. So a moral dilemma just means that you don't know which to choose because you have certain moral values. which you want to uphold, there are certain temptations as well that you really want. So you're not sure, should you sacrifice your morals to get what you want? So people have this moral dilemma, okay? So in primary school, very common, your best friend cheats in an exam. Are you going to report your best friend? Moral dilemma. Because first, we want to be loyal friends, correct? But we don't want to, but we also value honesty. So how I want to be a loyal friend, but I also value honesty. So now I have a moral dilemma. Okay. How do you show not tell for emotions? Oh, that's like a whole list and whole. Aren't we to attend classes at Mind Stretcher because there are a lot of phrases. Our comprehension passages, our model compositions, they all contain show not tell. Okay. So go look. So show not tell. Okay. Uh show not tell. One way I find useful to do show not tell is I just take myself out and become an observer sometimes. So let's say a person is sad. I don't want to use the word sad. I just look at that person and ask myself, do I see? I see tears. I see red eyes. I see quivering lips. Then I'll write about those. Then you're showing already. That's when you step back and say, if I look at a person who is sad, how does that person look like? Now, if you are the one feeling sad, not only uh if you're the one feeling sad, you can describe what's happening in your mind and your body. Do you feel your stomach in knots because you're nervous? Do you hear your heart beating because it's beating so quickly? Someone else might not hear it, but you can hear it because it's your body. Show not tell. So, show not tell just means that instead of saying that emotion, you describe what it looks and feels like, the sensations. Okay? And very often it's from the head to toe. So I was telling my writing students, right? That sometimes when you're planning or creating a character, just draw a stick man. Just draw a stick man. And then you start to label the stick man. So the stick man has a brain. What are thoughts that go in his head? What are things he say? So instead of saying he was a nasty man, give me dialogue which shows that he is super nasty, right? What does he do with his hands? Does he go and hit somebody with his hands? Or does he help someone with his hands? What does he do with his hands? What is happening to his heart? Is his heart black or red? Okay, what's happening to his gut? Is he nervous? Is it in knots? Are there butterflies? What is he doing with his legs? Is he frozen, rooted to the ground, or is he running and sprinting? So sometimes drawing a stick man is very useful. You just have to describe what's happening on the outside and inside of the body if you are doing show not tell for emotions. Okay? Show not tell for atmosphere is something else. But I think for a lot of you, show not tell emotions really makes a difference already in your composition. Okay? So draw a stick man. Ask yourself what you observe when you're feeling an emotion. Okay? Being a good writer means that you are also very observant and that you're also very empathetic because you can imagine how people feel. Okay? So when your eyes look downwards, yeah, just say he stared at the ground, avoiding eye contact with anybody. That's all. Okay? So some of you are doing it already. Let's take a look at rising action A, B, and C. Okay, I'm going to pause here. I'll give you 5 minutes. 5 minutes to read rising action A, B, and C. The meanings of the underlined words are at the back, so you can find out their meanings. And I want you to write down the method. So earlier on, we talked about different kinds of conflict, right? Like all these conflicts. So now when you read this paragraph, what kind of conflict is it? Okay? And in this 5 minutes, if you need to go for a quick break, please go ahead for your quick break. Okay? Let's pause and do this. If there's anything you don't understand, ask me, okay? Okay, there's some questions I see. So if you're still on your break, you're not at your laptop, it's okay. Because there's some questions that came in, okay? Was that a Blackpink picture I saw? Yes, you did. Is the other teacher coming? I'm talking about Mrs. Sham. Mrs. Sham ended her lessons quite late, okay? So, when she comes later, we'll see her, okay? Let me see. What's the meaning of could ill afford? Could ill afford means could not afford. Yeah, could not afford. Okay? Hmm. Yeah. So Xin Tian is asking, in these rising actions, or when we plan our rising actions, is it possible that certain parts of the rising action is actually maybe moving into the climax already? Yes. You know, when we tell our students there are 5 parts to a story and there's a story mountain, it's just a framework. It's just a template. Different compositions, the template will look a bit different. So it's just a guide for you. For certain compositions, you realize that if I want to block out the rising action, it's actually seeping into the climax already. And it's natural, it's a natural, smooth transition, and it's fine. Some rising action, some types of rising action, they are lengthier. The climax might be shorter. Sometimes the rising action might not be so long, but the climax is longer. So there is no fixed, it's not fixed like that. But your teachers always tell you about the story mountain is because the story arc is like that. There's an opening, a middle, and an end. Okay? So as long as when you plan, you realize that you are answering the question. Something priceless. From introduction, I talk about wanting the priceless thing. Rising action, I talk about working hard to get that priceless thing. In the climax, I enjoy the priceless thing. Falling action, I reflect about having this priceless thing. And in the conclusion, I talk about what it means when something is priceless. Can the examiner say your composition is irrelevant? No, your composition is fully relevant. That is our goal. We want our composition to be fully relevant from start to end. Okay. Yeah. So whether the rising action is part of the climax and all that, don't worry too much about that. Yeah. What is to fork out money? Fork out money means to use your money. Okay. Use your own money to do something. Fork out. So this is a phrase, okay? Fixed phrase, huh? Blending colors, like blending colors. What? Oh, yeah, the blending colors, yes. Resort to thievery. Thievery comes from the word thief. So thievery is the noun. Thief is the person. Thievery is the action. Okay. Resorting thievery means he resorted to stealing. Resorted to stealing. Okay. If we made a spelling mistake, if we make a spelling mistake, will the content mark go down? Well, we mark for spelling other language, but you see, if you make so many spelling mistakes that your reader cannot follow what you're trying to say, then it will affect inevitably the content to some extent, right? Whether it's the interest or the relevance, because some things just simply maybe don't make sense anymore because of so many spelling errors. But if you're talking about one or two spelling errors, it shouldn't have an impact on your plot or on your content, right? Heart plunged to the pits of my stomach. Ah, this is showing. Because this cannot be literal, metaphorical. Okay? If your heart plunged to the pits of your stomach, that means you feel this great dread, or in this case, there is this regret. Okay? But it's mostly dread. That means your heart sank. So within it, there's sadness, there's regret, there's disappointment, there's dread. It's just a very heavy feeling. Okay? Heavy feeling. Dread. Yes. Okay, so if you're asking me questions about this, I think you're at rising action B. Okay. What about C? Have you looked at it? Give me a moment. Which upper class neighborhood. Upper class neighborhood. A neighborhood that is filled with houses or apartments that are extremely expensive and only the very rich could get a property there. Okay? So upper class. In certain in certain societies, that's very obvious. In Singapore, we have certain areas where you see more expensive houses and so on. Uh, but I think it is not as stark as what we see in some other countries. Okay? So in this rising action, we just want to create a huge contrast. So we talk about upper class or people who are not so rich. Okay? Parent-teacher meetings means when your parents meet your teachers to get feedback about how you've done in that semester or year, right? What is swirled? Swirled means in a spinning action. Okay? Yes. Okay. Is everybody back? For those of you who went to get a glass of water or something. Okay, let's take a look at these three, and they are models. So use the words and phrases you see here in compositions, okay? Especially a lot of show not tell ones, so I'm going to highlight them. Gavin had been eyeing the gadget in the shop for weeks. So when we talk about rising action or introduction, this is a piece of information that could appear in the intro or at the end of the intro or at the start of the rising action. It's fine. When you're eyeing something, what does it mean? This is your Gavin's goal, right? Or his desire. Had been eyeing. I need to highlight this whole phrase. Not just eyeing. had been eyeing. That means he has been doing it for a long, long time. Okay. Unfortunately, he could ill afford it. Means cannot afford it. So now we have a problem, isn't it? The problem is that, okay, the problem is here. Okay, it's difficult to achieve. It's difficult to get the gadget because of his measly allowance, very little money. No matter how hard he pleaded with and cajoled his parents. So for those of you in P6WT, we saw this word today a few times already. Cajoled means to persuade somebody with pleasant talk or false promises to get what you want. Okay? So how hard he pleaded with and cajoled his parents, they refused to relent and fork out money for him to buy what they considered to be a frivolous frill. That means, what? Gadget. You don't need this. It is not food. It is not shelter. Okay? So it's frivolous, not important. It's not a necessity. Okay? He now needed to rack his brains, not to just think hard and think how he could get his hands. These are collocations. Again, it helps you in your compre close, okay? Paper 2. When you read our models or when you read anything, go and learn these collocations. So I'm just going to sidetrack a little bit because a lot of students and parents always say, how can I improve paper 2 comprehension close? You need to pay attention to these things. You need to, in anything you read, pay attention to word collocations, phrasal verbs. Okay? So when you say, I want to read more, okay, you are actually already reading more. You are in P6. You have so much to read every day. Use what you're reading, look at what you're reading, and get as much out of it as possible. So rack his brains is a fixed phrase. If it comes out in editing or comprehension close, you need to be able to fill in the right blank, right? The blank with the right word. Get his hands, and not get his hand. It's get his hands. Okay? And not get his arms or something like that. No. So it's a fixed phrase. Coveted device, anything that is coveted means you really want it. So this is related to the goal or desire. Okay? Refuse to relent. This is very useful for any composition about not giving up. Okay? Refuse to relent. Whether it's you can't run fast enough and so on. Refuse to relent, I will not give up. Okay? What is the method here? Just type it in the chat. I think this is pretty obvious. Someone who has um what is the method? You might say, what is the method here? Main character against whom or what? Main character against his circumstances. Okay? Main character against his circumstances. Because he cannot choose his background, he cannot choose his circumstances. Values, not against his values. Or maybe there could be a dilemma. Good, good. Let me write that down. Okay? And perhaps I'm going to put a question mark. If you are looking at this and you are looking at picture 1, if you're looking at picture 1, the moral dilemma won't be so strong. He's just thinking, I don't want to steal. I want to do it the proper way, so I'm going to save. Okay, so maybe a moral dilemma, but it's maybe a one-liner. Yeah, just this part. But he says he does not want to resort to thievery. He does not want it. He's quite clear. So maybe there's not so much of a dilemma. But in a real story, if you want to introduce something like that a little bit, it's okay. All right. What about the next one? My heart plunged to the pits of my stomach. Very vivid phrase. Go and learn this, okay? When you feel great dread, okay? You feel a heaviness as if something is weighing on you. You cannot really breathe. Okay, that's how this feeling feels. So every time we Learn bad news. This is a useful phrase. If it's bad news, this is a useful phrase. Okay? If you forget to bring a very important piece of homework and that teacher is super fierce, you could also feel this way. Okay? If, what else? What other situations? Yeah. If you didn't study for a very important exam, you could also feel this way. So this is the showing of that great dread. Okay? Why did I leave it to the last minute to book the concert tickets? I wailed and railed at myself for my own tardiness. So why did our character feel dread? Because he didn't manage to get the tickets he or she wanted. Okay, all the tickets to Blackpink's concert have been completely sold out, except for the VIP ones costing more than $500. There was no way I could pay homage to my idols now, and I knew I only had my laggard self to blame. Okay, why did I leave it? So now there's this dread, sense of doom. Okay, let me give you a bit more. Sense of doom, despair. Okay, yeah, dread, sense of doom, despair. What is the conflict? Who is conflicting with whom? Actually, it's the main character. There's only I or only I. Why did I do that? So it's the main character against himself or herself. Okay, how do we know? Our character described himself or herself as being tardy, means not being responsible, slow to act. Okay, okay, my laggard self to blame. Yeah, so these tell you that it's me. I procrastinated and now I pay the price for my procrastination. Okay, next one. Everyone looked askance at me in school. I was the only one in class whose parents did not attend parent-teacher meetings. Come and see me. Parents whose parents did not attend parent-teacher meetings. Can we change this to came and... Oh, no. Come is fine. So we use did not. Okay. My apologies. Did not attend, did not come and see me perform in concerts, did not cheer me on at sports events. Malicious whispers swirled behind my back. This imagery. Because actually, whispers don't swirl, right? They're just sounds you hear. They just travel this way. But when you say malicious, sure. When you say somebody wants to copy something, so I just go back here. I come back to here first. But what does it mean by malicious comments or remarks swirl behind your back? That means they just go on and on and on like a ghost behind you. Okay? Is it a hyperbole? I don't think this is not a hyperbole. It is an imagery, something that shows movement. Okay, that these whispers are just following you quietly, constantly. Okay? So whispers swirled behind my back about how my parents had abandoned me. Oh, so they are gossiping. Tongues wagged in the upper class neighborhood where I moved in with my aunt. I was known as the unwanted child from a dysfunctional home who was fortunate enough to have been taken in by a kind relative. So everyone is gossiping about this person. But we don't know whether it's true because gossips are sometimes not true or half truths. So don't participate in gossips. Okay? Everyone looked at me. So there's some keywords. Everyone against me. Everyone is talking about me. Right? Everyone is whispering behind my back. Everyone's their tongues are wagging, right? As if I don't belong there. Okay. So over here, when I say I was the only one, that means you're fighting your alone battle. Okay. And then over here, I'm just going to write this down. Okay. By right. When there are parent-teacher meetings, parents should appear. By right, when your child performs in a concert, the parents who have received the tickets should come and support. Take pictures, right? By right, if I'm taking part in a sports event or competing, My parents should be there at the spectator stand cheering me on. However, none of these happened for me. My expectations, what society expects of parents and me, they are all not met. Okay? And then these people, the uppity up people, they are very snobbish. Okay, they are very condescending. Okay, they're very condescending. They look down on me. Okay, let me just put a. Okay, I cannot. Let me try to put a dash. Okay, they're very condescending. They look down on me. So what is it? I'm against who? Okay, societal's expectations. Like, who are you to live in our upper class neighborhood? Okay, so this kind of yeah, exactly. So gossips can cause great ruin to someone's reputation and so on. So don't gossip, okay, everybody? Speak the truth and only the truth. Okay, so these are three rising actions. If you find them useful, you can tweak them and put them in introductions. That's also possible. Okay, they act as models for you. What's the difference between chat and gossip? Chat is you talk about your life, you talk about your likes and dislikes. Gossip is talk about somebody else. And it's actually none of your business. That's a gossip, huh? Okay, don't gossip. Okay, the next thing, we have about half an hour. We are good with time, don't worry. Okay, you're good with time. Dialogue. We spoke about this last week when we look at intro because one of the techniques we can use in introduction is to use dialogue. So we have talked about this to some extent already. So today, when I look at this dialogue section, I'm just emphasizing certain things again. Okay? When you use dialogue, there are a few things to note. You don't just use dialogue because you feel like it or you don't know what else to write. Okay? You use dialogue because you know if the reader hears your character say this, it's going to make a difference to the reader's impression, it's going to make a difference to the storyline. Then you use those spoken words. Okay? So it shouldn't be, I don't know what else to write. So a specific purpose, let me just highlight this. Okay? All right. I will type out some things. Let me type over this picture over here. Okay, so when it's useful, it must reveal your characters, a few things, personality. So in the introduction, it will work. Okay, personality. Like this person is very rude when he or she speaks, doesn't say please, doesn't say thank you. Okay, character traits or your character's circumstances. Something he says shows that he does not have money or does have not eaten for a while. Okay, circumstances. So that helps. Better understanding of the characters through what they say as well as their interactions with one another. And it must move the story. Okay, what does it mean move the story? Or what does it mean to drive events? That means after this thing is said, your story is going to move in a direction. Something will change. Okay? For example, you have a usually very obedient child, okay? And this day he cannot take it anymore. He lashes out at his mom. Wow, that dialogue. Not only do I see the words of that shows anger and frustration and resentment, I realize that this relationship is going to change because the mother who thought that she is the most obedient child realizes that she's being challenged. So from that spoken words, from that point onwards, the story is going to change. Okay? So something changes. Something changes after what is being said. It's when you know that your dialogue is going to be very important. And that's why all those things about hi, bye, what are you going to do after school? Okay, all those are not very important. Okay? And from there, you also know the quality of relationships. If your best friend speaks kindly to you, like when we had the composition about friendship, and then there's dialogue, there's someone say to console you. Those words are very important. Okay? If you need to leave, just leave. It's okay. Okay? I'm not taking attendance and I'm not going to punish you or anything, okay? If you need to go, please go. It's fine. Okay? Between characters. Yeah. And sure, the conversation sounds realistic. Yes. Oh, we are going to look at two examples later. Sometimes when I read students' dialogue, I go, really? Human beings speak like that to one another? That's very unnatural. Okay. So we are going to examine that. Right punctuation. Conversation sounds realistic. Okay, but I want to put a note here. Okay. No Singlish or vulgarities. Okay. No. Say, but teacher, I am characterizing a bully. No. It is still an academic paper. You're writing to be graded. Okay. So don't do that. So today in class, we learned the word expletives, right? Writing class students. We learned the word expletives. So let's say you want to show that your character is bully and he's very vulgar with his words. You can use a phrase like spewed expletives in my face. But you don't have to put in quotation marks in dialogue what those expletives are. Okay? Spewed expletives in my face or bombarded me with expletives. Okay? Use the right punctuation marks. Okay. Uh Later on, when we look at this last point, I will talk about punctuation a bit more. But this is something that you just have to correct and you need to remember because if your teachers have marked them out and you're still making the same error, punctuation errors of dialogue at this point, and there's something you're unclear, please ask your teacher. Okay? New this I'm still struggling with this. I don't know why some students are still not doing this based on the papers I've marked before. New speaker, new paragraph. Okay, that's all. New speaker, new paragraph. Every paragraph has an owner. The owner is one character. So let's say Jane, she's saying something and then she does something and she looks at something. Yeah, it can all be in one paragraph. But let's say now John wants to talk to her. It's a new paragraph. Okay? So each paragraph has a main person. Yes, it is a must. Or else it's confusing. Who is saying what, when, and all the quotation marks are all blended in. It's very hard to read. Specify who the speaker is, using your dialogue text, of course. Speech text. Later on, we'll do a quick exercise, okay? Instead of saying sit, use more specific ones. Okay, I'm going to pause here. Xin Tian says, what if it's too short? For example, you have all read some storybooks. Don't you realize that when characters have a conversation, it could be a one-liner paragraph? Yeah, that's a paragraph. It's okay. Okay? So it's okay for a paragraph to be short. You can even have one-word paragraphs. You've seen that in our models, right? For dramatic effect. Crash, full stop. One paragraph, one-word paragraph. So it is possible. So paragraphs, there's no fixed length. There's just purpose and effect. Okay? So yes, don't say, oh, but this character just said 3 words. Then I don't want to start a new paragraph. Just start a new paragraph. Anyway, you're not supposed to have long conversations in your compo. So there wouldn't be so many of these short paragraphs, right? Okay? Mm. So there's no fixed length to a paragraph. It's just the purpose. Yeah? Vary the use of speech text. Yes, please don't say it later we'll practice. Okay, accompanying actions. Now I want to give you a few examples. Okay, I'll give you a few examples. Okay, I shall just type it here. So some students say, what? That means I can use endless words for a paragraph. But then there's going to be a problem. How can there be endless words in a paragraph when ideas change and transform as the story progresses? Every time a new thing happens, we start a new paragraph. Every time a new character appears, we start a new paragraph. Every time the scene changes to another place, we start a new paragraph. Okay, so every time a new something comes up, start a new paragraph. Okay, okay. Let's say this one. This is a very you can copy this down. Okay, simple dialogue. I know Jamie well. Let's say I know Jamie well. Sir said, okay, maybe not. I don't need sir. Fine. I know Jamie well, comma, said Ben. But let's say he hasn't finished talking yet. He hasn't finished talking yet, okay? I want to include an action, and that's related to my last point. Huh? I know Jamie well, comma, said Ben, hesitating for a moment. Okay, look at this structure. Look at this structure. This particular structure includes an action and dialogue tag in between. Why is it small letter B? Because the sentence hasn't ended. If now I want to change this sentence, it will just be, I know Jamie well, comma, but I don't know Alex at all. That will be one complete sentence. But why I interject this with a phrase is because I want a pause. I want to show that the speaker is thinking. So there is a pause. And I don't want to use dot, 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 the ellipsis, or any other punctuation. Then this is something you can do. Okay? So I know Jamie well, comma, said Ben, hesitating for a moment, but I don't know Alex at all. All this is said by Ben. If you're using this structure, you don't need to use dash. Dash, you can use it when there's no continuation because you were interrupted. Okay, you can use the dash, it's fine. Like what we saw in our model. Was it in the English or writing class today? There was a dash. Okay. I know Jamie well. So this is an action. And I always tell students this. When you use dialogue, don't just he said, she said. Include their action, their reactions, their facial expressions to enrich the narrative. Okay. So, okay. Again, action. As he did this and this, action. Okay. I use it here for simplicity, for the sake of simplicity, okay, because I want to show you the punctuation. Then we put a full stop at the end. Okay, so every time you use dialogue, don't just stop at said Ben, said Jane, Jane said. Ask yourself, is there an accompanying action to show a bit more about my character? Okay? Because it will give the reader a better idea of how they may be feeling on top of the words they say. Can? Okay? And make sure you are aware of the punctuation. So punctuation, you see more of it here. Okay, you see more of it here. So let me give you 3 minutes. If you have done this already, no problem. You can see if you can offer alternative alternative dialogue text, okay? So everybody, for the next 3 minutes, look at the fill in the blanks. What are some suitable words to use for that particular sentence? Reach for phone, Amelia continued, clasping her hands together. Yes, Claire, that punctuation is correct. Okay, good. Mm, APT. APT is not apartment. Very cute now, all of you. Okay. This word apt. Apt is not apatu. It is not apartment. It is not whatever you are saying. It just means suitable. Okay? This is apt. Means it's suitable. It's okay. All right. Mm, appropriate. Okay. Yes, not the song. Okay. All of you try this. Yep. Yes, apt. Thank you, Cynthia. Okay. Another 2 minutes. Some of this we attended, some of this we have gone through them in our previous English and writing classes as well, right? They have appeared either in the spelling, in the mind stretching phrases. Okay. Actually, if you don't know the meaning of any of these words, go and find out. Right? You're on the laptop. Be more independent. Take initiative to find out what you don't know. Gwendolyn, that punctuation is called a semicolon. A semicolon functions like a full stop, but you use it because the two parts or these two pieces of information are linked. So use a semicolon instead. Okay, you're trying to show that they are linked. But it doesn't act as a comma. What's the next lesson? The next lesson is next Saturday. Next Saturday. Next Saturday, we are going to look at climax. And then on the 28th of March. Okay, so after next Saturday, there'll be 2 weeks. And then you're going to have your holidays, right? Okay. And then I'll meet you on 28th March. Our Muslim friends are also celebrating Hari Raya. Okay, so we're trying to avoid, like we avoided Chinese New Year, we're also trying to avoid Hari Raya, okay? Yeah, so that everyone can enjoy the festivities. Okay? All right, let's take a look. Let's take a look. If there are additional words, I'll just add them in, okay? Add them in. There's a lit. This is very unfortunate. There's a dead lizard in my soup, blanked Tina as she shrank back in disgust. Oh, this is a beautiful phrase. Let's go and learn it. Shrank back in disgust. A lot of students would use jumped back in shock. Okay, so this is an alternative. Shrank back in disgust. Yee! Okay, so that action of moving backwards. What can we use for this? If someone go, that's a shrieking voice. So you can say shrieked, okay? Shrieked, Tina. Okay. Watch out for blind spots and avoid taking unnecessary risks. The instructor, okay, instructor can do many things. Instructor can caution you, right? Say, oh, do not do this. So don't just say, my teacher told us not to go to the science lab because there are a lot of chemicals in there, or there are dangerous, there are lots of equipment in there. Don't say said. You can also change it out. Instead of instructor, you can use caution, you can use warned, you can use reminded. Oh, okay. For instructor or teachers. Biting her nails nervously. Oh, wonderful phrase. Learn it for your composition. Biting her nails nervously. So this is show. Okay. With a bit of tell nervously, but mostly show. Okay. Biting her nails. Jody, what? Are you sure it's safe to venture into this eerie looking hut? So a lot of you love using this in your dialogue. The stammering and the stuttering, okay? Stammered, stuttered. What else is there? Muttered if the volume or if there is lack of clarity. You can also use muttered. Okay. We defeated our arch rivals in the finals. Corey blanked as he made the sign of a V with his fingers, a victory sign. So when someone is cheering, whoop. So they go, woohoo! Okay, that's whooping in delight. Whooped. Here. Okay. So you realize that in all these sentences, we don't just use the spoken words, we add actions. So go and learn all these actions. We add actions. The country has now been placed under lockdown for the sake of the safety and security of our citizens. The president blanked somberly. Okay, very serious. Very serious. So for a person of authority to make an announcement, seriously, you can say that they declare. So declare, not everyone can declare. You don't declare anything to your parents, okay, usually. Declare has to be done from a person of authority, and then they make some sort of a formal announcement. Okay, so kings declare. Okay, it's now the last lap. Focus on achieving success, and it will be well within your grasp. Our coach. Okay, so if someone is trying to encourage you, okay, someone is encouraging you, someone wants to urge you, someone wants to assure you, your coach, someone wants to encourage you, they all work. What a spectacular pyrotechnic display, the onlookers blank as they gazed. Sometimes when you're not so sure what your characters should be doing, talk about what they're doing with their eyes. Where are they looking? Okay? What are they looking at? Gushed. Oh, what's gushing? I say, this is so nice. You look so good today. Oh my God. Yeah, that's gushing. Okay? Oh, I cannot believe that this is all awesome. Blah, gushing. When you're praising something in a very excited way, you're gushing. Okay? Or you see your K-pop idol and then you go, oh my gosh, she's so handsome. Gushing. As she peered at the bleeding sores on her feet, City blanked. How will I be able to continue? So this person is not okay. She is sad. So groan. Oh, how will I be able to continue walking in this pair of heels? Okay. I should have been wary and not end up being duped by the con men. There's no use crying over spilt milk now. Okay, learn this phrase. Okay. Crying over spilt milk. There is no other phrase. This is a fixed phrase. Okay, blank Mr. Tan in resignation. This is a good phrase. If you do something in resignation, it means that you have accepted your fate and you have fully accepted your circumstances. So very often you see this collocation resigned to fate. Okay, if this comes out in complete clause, you will know, right? Because today you're learning it, okay? Resign to fate means you have accepted your circumstances. So when you do that, you are lamenting. It's a sad feeling. You go, hi, and usually it goes with a sigh. Okay. Hi, why is this like that? It's no use now. Okay, lamenting. Please have mercy and spare our lives. If you are begging for mercy, you can beg for mercy. You can plead for mercy. Okay. Or you can use this word implore. That means you're begging. You're begging. You really want someone to give you what you're asking for. Okay, implored. Are we there yet? We're tired and hungry. The children like, so hungry, I want to eat, where's the food? Okay, they are whining. What's a con man? Con man is a scammer. Very often now we use the word scammer. Somebody who's trying to scam you. Okay, a con man is a cheat. So the word con, C-O-N, can act as a verb. So con means to cheat someone. Okay? I can't tolerate your unreasonable behavior any longer. Jake, what, before storming out of the house? If you speak in exclamation mark, and I think some students like to use this word, bellowing. Bellow is a very low and loud voice. Low and loud voice, okay? is being duped. Being duped means being cheated. Being cheated. So something that's duped is not real. Okay, a con man is a cheat. It's a scammer. Okay, someone who's trying to scam you. Yell, bellow, shouted. Yes, yes. Any loud voice, but bellow is very often also a low sounding voice. So if a woman has a high pitched voice and she screams at you, you don't use bellow. Yeah? Very often you just use screamed, higher pitched. Okay. So all these phrases related to behavior, storming out the house, went down on their knees. Yeah, these are showing for sure. If you just say he begged them, are they standing up straight? Sitting down? No, they are on their knees, okay? They are desperate. I want you all to take a look at this tool. We're going to spend the next 10 minutes. Yeah, cheated by a cheater, exactly, Ryan. Okay? So there are two extracts here, and they both use dialogue. And they both contain action, though not the same. I'll give you 2 minutes to read both. And then you tell me which one used dialogue more effectively. Okay, so if you think A is more effective, you type A. If you think B is more effective of at using the technique of dialogue, you put B, okay? Hmm. Okay, I see your responses. The end is the same. Yeah, the same scenario. It's just let's say two students have written this. One, and the teacher say, okay, students, today I want you to practice using dialogue in your composition. So now these are two samples. Two students have tried to use dialogue in their composition, but which one is more effective? Ji Kyung says, I read somewhere too much dialogue may not be good. You are right. You're right. Both, both don't contain grammatical errors. So in terms of language, no issue with spelling and all that, right? But there's something I want to highlight to you. So let's take a look at B first, okay? Let's take a look at B first. You're so lucky to have won a concert ticket. I wish I could have won one too, Jennifer remarked enviously. Okay, fine. Someone said that. Oh, I'm so envious. I wish I could have it. Then you look at the next line. Yes, I must say I'm extremely lucky. I can't believe I won it. My dearest wish has come true to see Blackpink live on stage. Would anyone speak like that, my dear students? Does anyone speak like Does anyone speak? My dearest wish has come true. It is possible that some people speak like that, very dramatic kind, okay? But usually, this is really unnatural. My dearest wish has come true. Very weird. So in terms of like bragging in terms of natural speech, this is quite awkward. Okay, never mind, we read on. You will now, so we have spoken words, third paragraph, still spoken words. You will now have the chance to watch idols up close and personal, while I can only watch them online. How I envy you. So we have paragraphs 1, 2, 3, dialogue. And then also, how I envy you is super weird. We don't say that. I don't think anyone has ever said that. We will say, oh, wow, I'm so happy for you. That's about it. How I envy you, not really. Very dramatic, okay? Very unnatural. Then dialogue again. Direct speech again. I promise to buy you merchandise at the concert and snap lots of photos of Lisa, your favorite member. Honest, cross my heart. Do you talk like that? Honest, cross my heart. Very weird also, right? And this is very formal. In fact, will you talk to your friends like, I promise to buy you merchandise at the concert and snap lots of photos of Lisa, your favorite member? Do you talk like that? A bit awkward, right? This would be better expressed in a different way, not dialogue. Cross my heart means I promise. So it's very really awkward. Maybe it's too formal. Okay, it's weird when you say things like that. Then finally, we go into the narration. While I was exhilarated to have been able to snack, I felt sorry that Jennifer was unable to attend. So this is direct speech, 4 paragraphs. Okay, and then this thing about I wish there was some other way she would be able to go to the concert too. I felt sorry. Uh, I felt sorry. I promised to buy you. Okay, so not very smooth. This is not as what you're thinking. Yeah, you could think like that. If you look at extract A, which many of you said is your favorite and you think is the most effective, let's see what is done well here, okay? Aren't you lucky to have won a concert ticket? Not a super long sentence, because in fact, when we speak to someone, it's a to and fro. We don't say one whole chunk of text. Unless it's a wise old person trying to teach you a life lesson, then it will go on and on. But usually with a friend, we keep it pretty short, right? To and fro. Aren't you lucky to have won a ticket? Jennifer remarked enviously. She looked wistfully. That means I keep like dreamy, okay? Looked wistfully at the precious ticket nestled on my lap. Don't you think this is more effective? If not today, the composition is something priceless. Wouldn't these descriptions match the topic better? Precious, right? So my friend said this to me. She looked at my ticket and she looks sad and disappointed while I have this. Okay? And then you realize we don't go into direct speech again. We go into thoughts, actions first. Mindful of her feelings. So let me just type here first that there is facial expression, so I don't miss this out. Okay? There is facial expression. Action, and then there's the description here, which actually answers the question. ATQ means answers the question, the theme, something priceless. Okay? Then mindful of the feelings. Oh, we have a narrator who is sensitive to the needs of others. So include that. Don't just talk about I did, she did, but what's going through your mind? Oh, I actually could tell. And I feel bad. Okay? So there is thought, there is intention. So since I know how she felt, I placed one hand on my chest while raising the other palm. This is action, right? Action. One hand on my chest, raising the other palm. So this is like I promise, okay? Cross my heart. I promise. And not just the action, your tone of voice. How are you saying it? You're saying it in a very soothing, gentle way because you know she's already quite disappointed, okay? So the right tone. I promise to buy you merchandise at a concert and snap lots of photos of your favorite member, Lisa. Okay? So with all these, doing this don't look strange anymore. Okay? I promise I'll do this. I'll do this. Then I don't go into dialogue. This is the dialogue, I promise. I fervently meant what I said. Short sentence, varying sentence length. Because sometimes when you say something, what's ATQ? Answer the question. Sometimes when you make a promise, it's actually just to make the person feel better, right? You may not have the intention to see through it. Okay. So I fervently meant what I said. I promise you, it's real, reader, the person who is reading my composition, I meant it. Believe me. Okay, while I was thrilled to the core to have been able to snag a concert ticket and free one at that, I felt a twinge of guilt. So we always go back to how the character is feeling, what the character is thinking, but the character didn't show it. You realize in extract B, the character is like, my dream, my dearest dream has come true. And some of you say, oh, that's bragging. Yeah. But this character in A, she's keeping all the happy thoughts and feelings in her heart. She's not showing it because she's considerate towards her friend's feeling. This is a much stronger characterization, correct? So we, the readers, know her inner thoughts and we see her actions. And our impression of her is that she's a considerate friend. And a considerate friend, what will they do? They care. What will they do? They may make sacrifices for their friends. And isn't this what we want in as our story continues, creating something that's priceless? So this characterization is strong. This one, some conflicting things. Okay, I don't know if she's a braggart or she's what, It's not so clear. Okay? So A is actually better because of all the reasons I've shared. Okay? It's a very smooth narrative. It doesn't feel boring because there's dialogue, there's actions, there is inner thoughts. So I don't get bored. I say, wow, dialogue again, dialogue again. Okay? All right. You can take a look at this in your own time. There is no dialogue here. I don't want you to create a direct speech for every line. Look at this and ask yourself, at which point would the character say things that will work beautifully to show the close relationship between them? Okay? So next week, when I meet you, I'm going to share some examples with you for this, but you can try first. Okay? Understand the context. What's the emotions you want to bring out? What actions or expression can there be? What dialogue text to use? Everything that I've taught you today, apply it here. And next week, I'll show you some examples. Okay? Not done writing. Okay, I'll come back here. All right? So I don't want to rush to the last part. Give you some time. That will be your mini homework. Take about 10-15 minutes. If you have no other questions, you may go. I'll stay for another 1-2 minutes, okay? Just in case some students need to take down some notes. Okay? If not, next week, 7th March, the next session, third session, 7th March. This session ends at 9:30 and it's already 9:32. So if you need to go, you may go. Okay, thank you very much for joining me. Have a very good evening. Okay, go and rest well. I shall see you next week. Yes, Claire, I shall see you in class and here. Bye bye. Okay, for the rest of you, any other questions? How many more sessions are there? My colleague has tagged the session 3 registration link. So there's session 3 next week, and session 4 will be 28th March, which is also a Saturday. Okay, after Raya. So our Muslim friends can enjoy the festivities, okay? Don't have to be writing compositions when you're trying to celebrate Hari Raya. Which branch am I teaching at? I'm teaching at Campus 1. Okay, if there are no other questions, please rest. Okay, pace your revision and I shall see you again. Bye.